guys, and welcome back to Kinda Hot, Kinda Healthy. Um, we are doing an awesome interview today, and Maddie just made me laugh at the beginning because we always record and then we'll record our interview and then we want to debrief after. And I knew not to even start talking because we just need to hit record and debrief. And I love that for her, keeping me keeping me on the rails.
That is my only purpose in life is to keep Allie on the rails, literally.
Otherwise, we'll talk for 20 minutes and then you'll be like, "Should we be recording?" And I'm like, "Oops."
Literally. You know what's super fun? This is coming out when I'll be in Colorado,
Ah,
so we'll definitely have episodes where my sister's view out of her apartment is freaking insane. So I'm gonna have like this beautiful view behind me, not just
ah.
like a blank wall.
Right.
So that will be fun.
You just have to make sure it's not, super backlit or else you'll look like a fool.
I'll bring my lights too, so we
Okay,
can,
perfect.
we'll adjust. Maybe I'll have, like I'll be in the corner, so, like, I'll have, like, the
Yeah.
sun, but then, like,
A good yes,
yeah.
yes. I love that. Yeah,
Mhm.
I really wanna go to Colorado one day. I was, talking my friend just bought well, when if this comes out, it'll be a couple months later, but she just bought a house and she's like,
Oh, nice.
"Allie bought a house, so I bought a house." And I was like, "Yes, absolutely." Like, you legit stalker. After, 2 weeks after we or not even it was, 2 weeks before we closed. She's like, "Me and Marcus are putting an offer in on a house." And I was like, "You are literally copying my life." But I love that for you. But I really wanna go visit her in Florida. And I'm like, "If I can do that flight, then I can start doing more."
Yeah,
But I don't know when that will happen, but I'm putting it into the universe. It's happening. I just don't know when, but
I
it's
like that.
I would love to go to Colorado. And you're gonna be there in, the summer?
I'm gonna be there, May is summer, right?
Oh, yeah, May, so yeah, start
Yeah.
at the start.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's gonna be gorge.
Mhm, and then I'll be there in September, so that'll be fun,
Oh,
so I'll get I know. Do they have fall? They have fall, right?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Like, it gets
So
crispy.
crispy. Yeah, so I'll be there in September and May, so I'm excited 'cause it's also my sister's 30th birthday, so that will be super fun to celebrate that with her and, not be away from my 20s, so that'll be fun.
When was the last time you guys were in person, like IRL?
Ooh, before I went to Mexico.
Wow.
So she moved when I was in Mexico. So she moved in like October, November. I was
Mm.
supposed to help her move to Colorado because she was going to fly. And the issue was that you can only have like one animal per person, and they had four animals.
Oh.
So it wouldn't have worked. And there was only two. So then I was gonna fly, and she was gonna fly with both rabbits, and then with the dog, and then the cat. You know what I mean? So like it would have been worth me and her. So it would just had to be
Yeah,
like too many people, so it just didn't
yeah.
work.
Ugh, that is it's hard being long distance from a sister. Like, if you have a really
Yeah,
good relationship with, your
yeah.
sibling, because some people, they're could care less about their
That's
sibling.
like that's like Joel. Like I think like the reason why his siblings like they communicate is because like they reach out. I'm like, do you ever
Ah.
I said to him the other day, not to go on a tangent. This thing has been like very loose. Okay. I said to him the other day, I'm like, let's say if he was a girl, this would make more sense. If he was a girl, I couldn't be friends with him. He never reaches out to his friends ever.
Joel, pick up the fucking phone.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, like, what's" Sean and, Jeremiah, he's like, "Oh, no, I haven't talked to them in a while." I'm like, "When's the last time you texted them?" "I don't know." I'm like, "Do you wanna have friends?"
Girl, do you wanna have friends? Oh my
Yeah.
god. No, it's yeah, I mean, certain people, like my best friend, she sucks with her phone. I give her a little bit more leeway now because, she's a mom and she's going back to school and whatever, but the bitch sucks with her phone, and she fucking knows
Mhm,
that, and I'm always like, I
mhm.
literally look like a stalker. If you look at my call log, it's me always trying to FaceTime her, and then she'll randomly FaceTime, and then
Yeah,
it's like a 4-hour conversation. And I'm like, you could save yourself time if you just answer the phone. She's like, oh,
yeah,
I know. I hate the phone. I'm like, you really do. Like,
yeah.
that is her. But I'm also, you know what? It's a good pair because I don't get offended. I'm just like, I call and I expect her not to answer. Then when she does, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Now I have the next 4 hours to look forward to. But we're also, like, so weird, and we'll just, like, text each other, like, screen recordings of, like, YouTube videos, and, like, that's how we're communicating. Like, it's like
Oh, that's fun.
it'll be like because we both, like, watch H3, so it'll be, like, recordings, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, I'm living." And then, like, 2 hours
Mm,
later, she'll send me something, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I can't." Like, it's the dumbest fucking
mm.
conversations, but I'm like, I live for it.
Oh, and those
And
are fun conversations.
they're the best. And then
Mhm,
when she, like, comes home, because she comes home, like, every once in a while, same with my sister. It's like
mhm,
it's the best thing ever, and you have, like, the best time in the world. I love it. Like, ugh,
mhm.
being reunited is iconic. So when you go in May, I know you're going to, like, house sit. Will you get to see your sister before they go on their trip?
Yes, she doesn't leave for, like, 2 weeks
Oh,
after,
yeah.
maybe, like, a week and a half or something after, and then we'll have time when she gets back to, like, 5 days or so. So
So
we're gonna have,
fun.
like I know, that's why I'm going for a while. Cause like, if I'm going up, I'm going to, like, spend as much time as I can there,
Yeah.
so we can hang out, and she said, "We'll go on this hike, we'll go on that hike." I'm like, "Oh, I'm so excited," like, and get she said there's really good sushi there.
Mm,
So yeah, we're gonna have time to like hang out and stuff. And because, she has like a normie job, we want to make sure we had weekend time. So
right, right. Yeah, and, like, you can just bring your computer and work, so it's like
yeah.
if you're already gonna be there, stay a little bit, relax, explore.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. Oh my god, that's gonna be so
Hmm.
much fun. And you're sitting, you're watching all the fucking animals. I can't.
Yeah. She has two rabbits and a cat and a dog.
Do rabbits scare you? Because I feel like
Hmm.
they're unpredictable. I don't know how to
No.
approach them.
No, hers are like they like headbutt, like little like rub nose rub
Are they,
things
like,
and
low key like a cat? Not li I know they're not the same, but, like, how you would, like, pet a cat or anything like that?
um less.
Oh, they
Like,
just kinda wanna be left
they're
alone.
very similar to, like, when we had a guinea pig growing up, like
Ugh.
what do you mean?
A guinea pig? Oh god, that's like a rodent.
Oh, well, yeah.
Ugh, no, I can't, I would be so scared.
Oh, no, he was the best. His
Would
name
you
was
hold him?
Yeah,
Ugh.
his name was Hide and Go Seek. I named him when I was little, so don't come at me after that
That's
name.
kind of iconic.
Mhm, and, my mom used to have long acrylic nails and would, like, poke him through the, like, little, like,
The
cage I
cage.
felt so bad for him, yeah, we always yelled at her when she did that. He lived for, like, 9 years, like, he was so old when he
God
died.
damn.
Yes. They have, like, have a lifespan of, like, 4 to 5 years, like, they don't live long.
Holy
I mean, this
shit.
might be old. It might be higher now, who knows, but,
I
like,
doubt it.
we did the best we could. We were good guinea pig owners, but yeah, he was fun. I honestly, like, I think about, I'm like, I kind of want like a new little pet, but then I want this life where I don't live here, so like I
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah, no, you can't yeah, no. Like, and I don't know, maybe get, like, a hermit crab or some shit.
I mean, I don't even get I haven't pulled the trigger on getting a second cat because Joel's
Well
gonna steal it when I leave.
all yeah, but also, like, if you get a kitten, they're fucking, like, a lot of work at
That's
first.
exactly what I was like, I don't have time
No,
to mother a baby kitten, although it would be so cute and fun, like, I
so cute.
really don't. Like, I just and I s you probably saw it on my story the other day. This is months later, obviously, maybe we'll put the picture up. So freaking cute. Would name rename it 1000%. It was like
Yeah.
Bob Dylan. I was like, "No."
Bob
Um
Bob the cat.
Obviously after the singer, but, like, would not use that, would
Yeah.
not be Bobby. But super cute, looks like Remy, just doesn't have Remy's, like, Hitler mustache.
Yeah.
I literally, she has, like, a half Hitler mustache. Not saying we condone that, we are not, pro Hitler here, we're anti-Hitler. But that's what they told us when we adopted her.
I am fucking gagged. That 30 seconds of chaos.
It
I am
was.
dead. I am dead. Um, yeah, okay, I literally almost
Don't
had a nervous breakdown when we got Armin, like, because he was 8
really?
weeks. He was I didn't I the last time we had a kitten, I was not responsible. I was not the adult in the household. And so I kind of forgot how fucking needy they are. And obviously, it's not like having a child, but this motherfucker was crying all night long because we had to separate the cats at first so they could acclimate. They didn't fucking acclimate well. Butter almost died. He was so stressed out. I was so stressed out. And then we got COVID. And I literally, the agoraphobic person, how do I get COVID? Fucking riddle me that. Um, I was so stressed out. And I was like crying constantly. And I'm just like, this little kitten is so cute, but you're like literally killing your brother. But then it all worked out. So, love a kitten. They're so beautiful and cute and affectionate,
Yeah.
but they're a lot of fucking work. Like,
Yeah, you just talked me out of it. I'm not doing it. I
it's
don't
not
have it
good
in
right now.
me.
If you want to like live your life and you want the
No.
cat to like love you, then don't because
It's never gonna be good because I'm
no,
leaving what day is it now? Right now, it's
March
March
1st.
1st. So I'm leaving in basically 2 months, basically gone for the month, and
Oof,
then I leave again in September, and then I might go back to Mexico in,
mm,
like, December, January. So I'm like, there's never a good time,
never a
like,
good
to
time.
go, so
Maybe
just
when you
never.
like become like an old woman. And you, like, just wanna, like, live in a little cottage and, like, just, like, live out, like, the rest of your days, you just get a cat.
That's a long time from now
Yeah, but that's
because
okay, like, there are always gonna
yeah,
be kittens.
that's true,
Save it
yeah.
for that, like, grandma era. Like, be an old, gorgeous lady and, like,
Yep.
making, like, homemade butter and homemade bread and have a kid. Like,
With
that's
my sourdough starter that's like 80 years old.
yeah,
You know what? I saw someone on TikTok, they sell like an 100, what was that? A
100
a 100-year-old sourdough starter. I'm like, does it ever go bad?
fuck that. That's disgusting. 100 years old?
I mean,
That is gross.
is it? That's
Yeah, it's been around for 100 years.
that's some good bacteria.
Ugh. I love sourdough. My only qualm is there's never gluten-free sourdough, so, like, I need that, but I'm also not gonna
Agreed.
fucking make it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a mess. It's too much effort.
Yeah.
I gotta feed it. What?
Yeah.
And honestly, the process grosses me out. I don't need to, like, see this thing growing and being all weird.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, maybe I'll make Joel a dough. Why can I what is wrong with my brain right now?
A
Maybe
loaf?
a loaf. Thank you. A dough of
A
bread.
loaf?
I might make him a loaf of bread this weekend because his love language is food, and he's always like, "You don't make me like." Sometimes I would make like banana bread or like stuff
Ooh.
like that. It's really easy, just
It
like
is easy, it
the
is, but
bread, you know.
it's the effort of doing it. It's like, "Oh, it's easy," but
Yes.
to do it is like, "Oh, I gotta get all the ingredients, and then I gotta wash them," but that is totally an act of service and a love
Yeah.
language I respond well
Yes.
to, and I
Yes.
love doing things for people. It makes me so happy.
Yes, me too. I do love helping people in that
Yeah.
way for sure.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh, this is like an old slash new obsession, so still very much on my Spanish learning journey. And I started watching this show when I first, okay, maybe like the 100th time I tried to learn Spanish. Now I'm like on the 103rd time, but this time it's like sticking. But I started watching the show on YouTube. And if anyone's like, I need a show that like is really easy to understand, that's like not like a children's show. It's
Yeah.
called Buena Gente, Good People. It's so good. And they speak so slow. And then I just keep the subtitles in English. So if I'm like struggling with what they're saying, then I can connect with the word and eventually
Mm.
I'm gonna turn the subtitles off. But I'm, like, obsessed with it, like, I'm already on season 2.
Oh,
They
it's
have, like
like a legit, like,
yeah, legit
show.
show.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like
love
it
that.
starts off with, like, this girl moving into an apartment, and her brother's helping her, and they find a box with a ring and a note, and they're like, "We need to find the person who this ring belongs to," and they just go down all these, like it's just so funny, and now there's, like, a rat in the apartment. It's
Oh,
funny. I know. It's
oh,
good.
I love that you're going down this journey and it's actually sticking because I
Same.
know I've told you this before, but like in my elementary school, like we started learning Spanish in like second or third grade. And then I had to take it all the way up until I think sophomore year, and then you could drop it. I didn't learn shit. don't know anything. And then in college, you have to take like one language class. And I took French because James had taken it before me. And he's like, oh, she gives you the answers to the quiz the day before. And then when you're taking the quiz, she just like holds up a newspaper. So we all cheated, of course. I got like a fucking like
What?
A plus in that class. And I was like, do I know anything? No. So I actually like really admire the fact that you came back to it and like you're really sticking with it because man, I didn't learn shit, didn't retain shit.
Yeah, it is. I definitely like I was doing like a 30-day like little 30-day not recap, but like I do like, a reel or whatever talking Spanish, like 30-day
Oh,
update.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
I missed 30, 60. I missed 90 because just like I was busy.
Life.
I was kind of, yeah, busy falling off a bit. And then I felt really guilty about it. And I was like, this is literally the same shit we tell people when they're like
Yeah,
trying to get on their health journey. Like, you don't stop just because you missed. You
right,
don't stop brushing your teeth for the rest of your life because you missed a day. You
right.
brush your teeth the next day. And I was like, I need to stop being a little biatch about it and just keep going. And
Yeah.
I was talking to my aunt, which is now months past, obviously. But I was talking to my aunt on FaceTime, and she like, I have two aunts, and one of them was like, will only talk to me in Spanish, and the other one like will basically talk to me in English most of the time. And I was like, oh, great reminder. Like this, I was using some of the stuff I recently learned, and just like it just gives me that extra oomph to like keep
Mm,
going because it's nice to be able to talk to her. And I really, really, really want to talk to my grandma like in Spanish only because she
right.
speaks very little English. So it's just like good reminders. And then, as we're getting older, like my uncle, his health isn't great. And I'm like, man, like he spoke English, but like, they aren't getting younger. So I just
Yeah,
want to just keep, pushing forward, connecting to like, what is my why?
yeah.
Why am I doing this? Like, and remind myself that. And that's been really helpful in that process.
I love that. Yeah, I are you good at math?
Um, I mean, I took trigonometry, no, trig and pre-calc. I took stats in high school. I mean, I always say like I was like the dumbest, one of the dumbest people in the smart people class for math.
Okay. So I don't know if somebody lied to me to make me feel better and say this, but like I really sucked at Spanish.
Uh-huh.
I suck at math.
Hmm.
And someone along the way was like, "Oh, those parts basically those are in the same parts of your brain."
Oh,
Don't know
okay.
if that's true or not, but I literally
I'm gonna look that up.
I'm so bad at math. And this is not like a, "Oh, you're bad, but you can get better." No.
Mhm.
No, 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 no. I had the like such an expensive math tutor, SAT tutor. I was in dummy math. I had to drop dummy math in college. I had to retake it. I was fighting for my fucking life to get through math. I when I say like it is literally traumatic, it's so bad. Like like simple math stresses me out. I'm like on my fingers and I'm okay with that because I don't need that shit in my life. Okay? I don't know
Yeah.
why we have to take it. Who is it helping? Cuz it's stressing me out.
Yeah, I had a tutor in geometry and
Ugh,
I think I had a tutor after that too, but I was like a freshman taking math with like seniors, but like I was on
you
the
were
struggle.
smart.
Yeah, I was smart, but like I was struggling. Like it wasn't
Well,
like
yeah, you're a
easy.
freshman with seniors. That's like hard shit, dude.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, like I was the dumbest person in in those smart people classes. Like,
So I can relate. So we had like honors and then like CP, which was like college prep. So
mhm.
like there was two levels. And I was definitely for math, I was the dumbest person in honors because I was in honors for like all of my classes because I don't really think you had to be that smart. Like I'm not like
Mhm.
not trying to like be an asshole, but like I don't think you had to be that smart cuz like my grades were good, but like I also like did really bad in a lot of
Mhm.
classes. Like I was
Mhm.
really only good at science. Like
Mm.
science and then like even art I was not very good in like I am just good at science and like
Uh-huh.
that's where I like slayed. But
Uh-huh.
anything else I was just like this is really hard like critical thinking skills. If I'm like reading,
None.
I'm like you had to do like or reading comprehension. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah,
I can't recall anything I just read,
yeah,
ma'am. What did you just say? Like I would have to read a page like
yeah.
3 times unless it's science. Then for some reason my brain is like, we fuck with science.
You know, I just remembered, I'm pretty sure me and Joel were talking about like the classes we took, and I'm pretty sure he said his senior year he was taking like it was like intro to like algebra. Like he just he was
Me,
not
me.
he was not like he is very like hands-on. He could figure and if something breaks, if something happen, he can figure it out. But like anything with a computer, like Godspeed, like it's not happening. Oh, I
Oh,
want to look up is what
oh yeah.
is learning. How would you even ask that question?
Um uh
Is learning
a
a
language and
language
math
and math uh the
from the
same?
same part of your brain. Oh. Again, it could be it
Oh, it
oh,
okay. It says higher level college course like theory or category theory can often be similar, it's still math, to studying a language. It's the field of linguistics. And
oh, so math is like like a language, I guess.
yeah, okay. A simpler, more consistent, more regular language. Okay, yeah. So like there's a small similarity, which I could see that maybe
You know
perhaps.
what? And shout out to my tutor in high school, David Aronson. He told me that. And I think he was like trying to watch out for the girl. He's like, I see that
No.
you're struggling and peace and love, you suck. But here you go. He literally, we went over my SAT scores. I took them like 4 times. I never took the ACT because I fell asleep. Like I just missed the test. Oops.
Hmm.
Um, and I only applied to colleges that didn't look at my SATs because they were shit.
Smart.
So he would look over and review my SAT scores and he's like, I really don't know what's happening. They just keep going down. And I'm like, sir, I
Oh.
am embarrassed. I am so embarrassed right now.
I get it. I get it. Listen, the only reason why I got through my SAT class was one, because I knew it was cheaper taking it in high school. It was through Pitt. I knew it would be cheaper. Like,
Don't
so
you
in
take it in high school?
yeah, so Moon had a couple things that was helpful for it. One, they had a lot of like college classes like through the high school. Like Pitt would basically send all the stuff and then the teacher was like teaching you it. You know what I mean? Like the high school teacher.
Oh.
So there were a few classes like that. Stats was one of them. And I was like, I'm taking this in high school because it's like way cheaper to take it now. It was like a couple $100 compared to
And
like
that worked as a college credit?
yes, so it was a Pitt class at Moon High School. So the only reason we were the last class that got away with this, and let me tell you, we were all cheating. On your TI-83 calculator, there was like you could like input so many notes.
Oh, yeah.
And I would put in so many
Of
functions like
course.
this means I don't even remember anything from stats, literally. Like this, the meridian is this, the app, whatever the language we were using is, I can't even remember it. We were cheating hardcore. Because I remember after that, I think that took that my not my freshman, maybe my sophomore or junior year, whatever it was. Yeah, so actually junior year because then senior I took like trig pre-calc or something. But I remember after that, like they had to have their whole calculator cleared out to go into class. So like they obviously
Ah.
were on to us. But then also RMU, Robert Morris, my senior year of high school, they started, or junior year, who knows, they started a program where you could get your associates while in high school, and you would do it on Saturdays. So I took like the basic classes you needed to take, and it was like every Saturday for like, I don't know, 2 years, something like that crazy. Yeah. So I was taking, but a college professor came in and we all took it together, and I got like so many classes done. So when I graduated high school, I had an associate's degree.
Girl, shout out to the fucking family. I would never fucking do that. And that is like such an iconic thing.
I mean, it sucks. That's like every Saturday, like even
But
through the
dude, that's
summer, I
so
think.
iconic. Like, does it matter now? Like looking back, it doesn't,
I
it did,
mean,
no,
yeah,
it's
no.
awesome. But like looking
Yeah.
back, like
Oh, yeah,
if I
yeah,
could have
yeah.
done that, I mean, it wasn't an option, but like
Yeah.
my brain at the time would have been like, I'm not fucking doing that. Like,
Yeah, it was like a big commitment and,
oh, wow,
you're paying for that, but it was, again, way cheaper than
totally.
getting those dumb classes you can take out of community college. It was, like,
Right.
around the same price as doing that. So that was really helpful, but yeah, that was, like, what I ended up doing, and it
She
was a
has been
lot.
slaying her entire life. My God. I'm like, I can't. Like in high school, like on a Saturday, like probably starting in like 10th grade, like every Saturday I'd be like really hungover and like trying to like not be super obvious and like vomiting and like trying to just turn on the shower to like cover up the sounds of like me being hungover. Like that's she's not cute. She was not cute.
She was living, that's for sure.
She was doing something. I don't know what it was. I think it was fueled by insecurity and
Mm,
anxiety. But you know what? We love her. Now she's a whole ass adult and she is me and I
yeah.
am her. It was really funny when I needed to say this, but I couldn't interject. When you said there was a cat named Bob Dylan and you called it Bobby, I shit you not. My dad, he wanted to name me after him, and his name is Bobby. Bobby with an I, like dead ass
Wait, so your name would have been Bobby?
with an I. Yeah, that's what he wanted to name me.
That you do not I do not get Bobby vibes from
Girl,
you.
I would have been mortified.
Nope. Nope, sorry. I was obsessed with the books, the Madeline books.
Oh,
I
yes.
love them. I was like, I wish my name was Madeline for the longest time. For the
It's
longest
very
time.
close.
I don't even go by Madison. Literally no one calls me
No,
Madison.
no,
Like
but
someone called
I
me
love calling you Madison because it
oh,
is just it's I don't it's your government name. I'm gonna I love it. I don't know.
yeah.
I feel I call my sister Catherine and her name is Kate. But like I just sometimes I just have to be,
Oh.
you know.
Did she go by Cat ever?
Oh, no, it's her name's just Kate. Like her
Oh,
birth name. Where
oh.
my birth name is just Allie. Her
Oh,
birth
okay.
name is just Kate. So like
Gotcha.
growing up, people like would assume it was Allison, and I was like, no, it's not. So like if she wanted to piss me off, she'd call me Allison, and if I wanted to piss her off, I'd call her Catherine. But now
Oh.
I just call her Catherine because I'm like, oh, my Catherine or me Katie Lou, whatever. Like it's either
Mhm.
Katie, Catherine, Katie Lou. It's very rarely Kate because that's just like too boring. So
Mhm.
Madison is a term of endearment, or what do
Mhm.
I call it? I'm gonna have to come up with another nickname then.
Does your sister have a name that she was almost named?
Oh, my dad apparently is on some other shit. So his real name is Francis. Like that's his
Mhm.
birth name.
Francis
But
Bacon?
huh?
Francis Bacon. He's like someone important in history.
Wouldn't know.
Like
And
I
his
don't
last
know.
name isn't even his biological father's last name.
Oh.
It should have been
Oh yeah,
if
because he didn't know his father. I remember you were
well
saying that before.
my his mom basically had children with a guy named his last name was something Hovass.
Oh.
And but she never got divorced from this other guy whose last name was Larrabee, so she just kept it. Could you
Oh.
imagine if Hovass was my last name?
Hovass.
Bobby
Weird.
Hovass. If my
Oh
dad had his oh, I
God.
instant death. So anyways, my dad his birth name is Francis, but he just ended up going by Bobby along the way. He also wanted to name my sister, she's older, Francis. And my mom's like, "No. Like I don't like that. Peace and love."
Wow.
And then for the second time around, he tried throwing another name in. I'm like, "Are you fucking delusional? What is happening? Like, are you not taking this seriously? Cuz why are you just trying to name your children after you?"
I don't know. My sister's name was almost Spencer. I'm like, ooh, that would
Ooh,
have been
that's actually
cool.
kind of slay though.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
that gives me like sophisticate. What's her name? Brie. Like
Brianna.
oh, Brianna. Okay, I know you call her Brie, but I didn't know if it was Brianna or Brianne or Brianna, whatever.
Yeah, Brianna.
Brianna. Brianna. I like Brie. I always thought Brie was like the cutest nickname. I was like, oh, I would love to be a Brie.
Yeah, she's BRI. I know people that are
BRI.
BREE
Yeah,
and
I like the BRI.
yeah.
It's cute. You can put a little heart over the I.
God, you're so basic sometimes.
That's what it is. That's why I love the spelling of my name, ALI, because like I would always draw a heart over it. And I'm like, it's really cute. But
Oh
last
God.
fun fact, and then we should get into the interview because I'm looking at the time as well. I see your eyes darting. Um,
Oh my God.
for graduation. Okay, I'm going to
Uh-huh.
graduate.
Uh-huh.
It's 2019. Let's bring it back. You know how you have to fill out your how to pronounce your name phonetically.
Oh yeah, they
I
butchered
looked it
mine.
up. I checked with like five, six people because I
Hmm.
was like, I don't even know if I'm doing this right.
Hmm.
How did they pronounce my name? Just like give it a guess.
So your name is pronounced Larrabee, but
Yep.
they pronounced it Larrabee? I don't know.
No,
How?
it was so much worse. So I'm getting up to like go walk, and they announce your name, you get your diploma, and then you go stand with the dean of your school and take a
Hmm.
picture.
Hmm.
I hear a name come out, and I'm like, I don't move for a second because I'm like, that's not my name. And then I'm like, oh no, that was me. Ali Larabi.
Ali.
Larabi. I was like, I put in the phonetics because my name, like it is spelled like the like a like
Alleyway?
ALI, like you would pronounce it Ali.
Oh, okay. I
That
didn't
is
even
like
think about
it's
that.
not spelled like I don't know, like it's what would you call it? Like a Middle Eastern name.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. So I spelt it phonetically the way you would spell ALLY. Like I
yeah.
Googled how to phonetically spell ALLI just because I knew that people do have a tendency if they don't know me, they will say Ali.
Oh, I didn't know
Um,
that.
Larabi didn't know where the fuck that came from. And my mom, I literally look out to them and I'm like standing with the dean of my school and I'm dying laughing. And he's like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh my God. And I look out at my family and James and all that, and they're all like dying laughing, like, oh my God. And I'm like, I feel like I didn't get my recognition. Like, who is this bitch? Like,
Oh my God. I mean, mine is very easy. How do you think they pronounce my last name?
Martinez.
That's how you say it correctly.
Oh, they didn't
Uh,
pronounce it correctly.
no.
Uh, I don't even, I don't know. Give me the skip.
Martinez.
What?
People, it's just that'd be the English pronunciation, right? Hispanic, like Spanish, like Martinez. The I is an E.
Martinez.
Martinez. Yeah. So they want to say Martinez instead of Martinez, you know? I
Yeah.
know. I was like, how hard is that? Like,
It's not,
Martinez
yeah.
is like such a common
It's very
Hispanic last
common.
name. Like, come on.
Oh
Like,
my God. Okay, well, I'm glad you also have a
mhm.
story where they totally botched you because,
Well, at least they didn't botch my first name too.
well, you know what? We can't all be winners like you. We have
No.
learned that from today. You've been a winner from day one. She's been slaying, and I'm over here with an identity crisis.
Oh, God. So before we just keep going on forever, we have on Sarah Krieger. We we got introduced to Sarah at the same time, right? In ICC, in the
Yeah,
mentorship
yeah,
group.
totally. Yep.
We were in the same mentorship group like over 2 years ago. 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2022. It was
It
in
started in
January.
January. Yeah,
Yeah.
January. So a little over 2 years ago. She is super cool. In our space, she's also a woman's like health and fitness coach. She has a podcast. She's a mom. Her husband is a veteran, so she has this is a cool story, and we get into like her life, get into friendships. But I didn't think we were gonna talk too much on that. She did a really good story about like how to break up with a friend. So if you ever wondered how to do that, you can take Sarah's notes because I think she did it like really well, to be honest.
Oh, I was gagged. I was like, this
Yeah.
is good. This is
Yeah.
good
I was like
advice.
taking notes. Use this for next time.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited. Anything you want to add?
No, I thought she gave a really great perspective on the topic of balance as well. That was
Yes.
super refreshing from
Yeah.
somebody that is a mom, a wife, a business owner. She has a lot on her plate. And
Hmm.
I just thought it was really insightful.
Oh, we have Sarah here. Super excited to have you. She is a mom. She is an entrepreneur. I was actually on her podcast, getting the name right here. The Basics Bitch Presents Don't Call Me Skinny.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have you here. Are you
Yeah.
excited?
Thank you. I'm totally stoked. We were supposed to do this a while ago, and then life happened, and so I'm so
Yes.
glad that we were able to get it back on here because you guys are just amazing.
Oh my God, I am obsessed. It's actually really funny because the last time we were supposed to record, I was like 2 weeks from moving and buying a
Yeah.
house, and my internet decided to shit the bed, and the line fell down. There was a tree in the yard. It was like a disaster.
Yeah.
And so I was like, if it were somebody that we didn't know, and I was like, oh my God, I'm stressed. Is she going to be annoyed? Whatever. And you like literally were just like so sweet about it. I was like, oh, this is perfect. Great. We love this energy because it was a disaster. And now we get to actually be like stress free and like
Yeah.
talk about it. And we were saying before we recorded, which I think is important for people to know and like about your brand, the name of your podcast, iconic.
Thank
Literally
you.
so iconic. Um, how did you come up with that? Because, like, as we're branding things, I feel like our brain can get really overwhelmed. We're like overly critical, but I want to start there. How did you come up with that and this whole brand of who you are as a coach?
Yeah. So thank you for that, by the way. My story is probably similar to a lot of people's story, where I've struggled with weight my whole life. I was a yo-yo dieter, a binge eater, a restrictor. I did every fad diet that you could possibly think of, and so when I finally like figured out how to do this the right way, and I always say there is a right way. I mean, every way is a little bit different, but I think there is a right way to, lose weight and get healthy. When I finally figured that out and I started losing weight, number one, people couldn't imagine. They thought I was doing some extreme thing. And then on the back end of it, they would just go, "Oh my God, you're so skinny. Like, why are you so skinny? How much skinnier are you planning on getting?" Now, me growing up an 80s baby and growing up in the 90s with Cindy Crawford and Victoria's Secret Angels and all these things, it was like I waited my whole life to be called skinny. Like that was the goal forever, was to be little, tiny, small, skinny. And then it got to a point where so many people would say it to me. I'm like, don't call me that. Like, that is not actually my goal, because my mindset was so different in my 30s when I started my journey than what it was when I was 14, 10, 16, 22. Like all these other times that I had started, I was just trying to be a smaller version of myself and not realizing like what I actually wanted in life. And so it was like, okay. And so me and my best friend, actually, she went on her own health journey. She was diagnosed Hashimoto's. She actually has had thyroid cancer now and has no thyroid. But she also went on her own health journey where she did it like I did it, like just swapping out, eating a little bit more protein, eating healthier, lifting weights, those kinds of things. And she was like the same thing. Like everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so skinny." And so the real version behind that is that we were supposed to start this podcast together. We both bought microphones. We both were la la la. But she moved away to northern Michigan, and it's not convenient for her to kind of get on a podcast every week and do the thing. So I was like, "Can I just go with it?" She's like, "Absolutely, like get on there, get it out there." Like, even though it was like kind of our thing to start, she kind of gave me permission to just go with it. So it's really all about like breaking the stigma of the skinny word. So that's kind of how I got there.
That's kind of funny because both Allie and I think Allie too, if I'm remembering right, we were going to start podcasts with our sisters. Right,
No,
That's so
Allie?
funny.
No, yeah, I swear
no,
you said that. No?
me and my sister, when I had a solo podcast, we recorded like funny, silly episodes.
Oh,
But I was stuck in this mindset of like, it can't be fun. It has to be like educational. And that literally just gives me the ick. Like, I want to have fun. I want to
yeah.
just like be for the girls, talk with the girls. Like, and so we recorded like episodes, never releasing them.
Mhm.
But no, she's like 12 hours ahead. So
Oh, yeah,
when am I
yeah.
going to do
Okay.
that? Like, that would
Okay, true.
straight up be a disaster, but iconic.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Yeah. But that's cool. And I didn't know that backstory, with the word skinny and you kind of like,
Yeah.
reclaiming your power. And, we talked about, I don't know what episode number it was, but just in our own experience and how in high school, like all I wanted to be was skinny. All I wanted was a thigh gap. Like if I could have a thigh gap,
Mm,
like life was made. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing else I needed to accomplish. I made it.
Yep. Yeah. I think that
literally.
the thigh gap now is like I need a thigh because I can't drop my phone in the toilet. We need that thigh. We don't want the gap. It would just go right. Like that's I don't know. It's funny to me. But yes, thigh gaps were a big deal. I even remember like my sister telling me like if you can feel your hip bones, then
Mm,
you're not fat. And I was like, okay, I don't, again, it's just
Yeah.
like, it's another piece of just like the stigma of being small. And
Yeah.
um, it's like once that mindset shift happens, it's
Mhm.
incredible the difference that comes with that. It's like, I can't believe I was doing that to myself for so long and talking like that to myself for so long. And it's like, whoop,
Mhm.
but it happens. And there's so many women out there, like the majority of the clients that I work with has that same mindset, that same mentality of just wanting to be small, 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 and that's the goal, and the scale going down. And it's like, oh, there's so much more to this process than that. So
Do you find that do you work with a lot of women that have more weight to lose, like 50 plus, or that are like struggling with that like relationship around the word skinny?
yeah, so I typically work with women that have 30 plus pounds to lose because that is my story. So I found myself about 8 years ago topping out around 250 pounds. And for me, it got to a place of like, it's not about the number. I mean, obviously that's not healthy for my frame, but it really became around like my neck fat was choking me. I couldn't tie my shoes. I didn't want to play with my kids. I would get winded going upstairs. Like there were so many more elements to that. And I feel like so the majority of the women that I work with, they have probably 30 plus pounds to lose.
Mhm.
Um, and what I like about that is it gives me an opportunity to work with them in a little bit wider scope, right? Where everything doesn't have to be so dialed in and perfect because that's how we got to where we all ended up was
Mhm.
thinking that there's some version of perfection for losing weight. And if you don't do things a specific way, then you're, what your best friend's doing or whatever, whoever your neighbor or your coworker. And so we have this idea of what it's supposed to look like. So I like having that ability to work in a little bit wider frame for them, right? So
Mhm.
it's like, hey, let's just see where we're at. Let's just, track our food. Like, let's just do that. Like, we're not going to aim for specific targets or worry about how much protein right now. Like, let's just see what we're eating and go from there, right? So almost relieving this pressure of like I have to get to that point.
Mhm.
And now I don't work with people who it's not about not being scale focused, but it's about like if you come to me and you're like, I want to lose the last 6 pounds, I'm not a coach for you. I'm not trying to help somebody
Mhm.
because the amount of dialed in that they're going to have to get there is I'm going to have to pull them more than likely to do that. So it's just
Yeah.
so that's not my way. But yes, most women that I work with also always wanted to be skinny. They always
mm.
wanted that, they desire that in their life. Yeah.
I love how you touch upon not needing to be so dialed in, especially at the beginning, because we can all probably relate to this as coaches, but the women that come to us have quote unquote tried everything. And usually, what that everything encapsulates is just extreme restrictive diets. And we know that that's not everything, but in their world, that is everything. And so
Mhm.
when we're working with new clients, I love that. Like we are focusing on like the fucking bare minimum. We are not
Mhm.
focusing on being perfect because we,
Nope.
we know that doesn't work. It's not good for our mental health. And sometimes the basic shit works. And it's not sexy, it's not cute, but like that's what fucking works. And so I
Mhm.
love how that is your focus and having your own success story, having your own experience, it allows you to relate to these women, like actually relate, hearing their problems and obstacles. You're like, I have been there. Like,
Yeah.
and that brings a level of trust um with like some other maybe coaches or clients that you really don't align and like I've been here, I know your story. There can be a disconnect. So I love the idea of not being so dialed in because that doesn't work for everybody. especially right off the bat.
No, and I find it actually pulls people away. Even the people that say like, "Oh, I want this last 6 pounds." I have had a client. I've worked with somebody that originally didn't come across that way, and I was like, "Oh, well, we could do a building phase and do all these things." And she's like, "Yeah." And then we got in it, and she was like, "Oh no, I got to lose. The scale has to go down. The scale has to go down." And she got
Mm.
super hyper focused, and I was like, so that's not how I coach. like it's just not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of like it was a disconnect, and it actually made it very difficult to coach somebody like that just because it's not where I'm at. It's not that I don't want my clients to hit their goals or hit their numbers at some point or something like that, but it's not the priority, especially from jump. And having been there, like you're talking about, that's something like even this week with my client check-ins, it's like, oh, it's so nice that you can relate to feeling this way or relate to understanding where I'm coming from, because not everybody has been 250 pounds or needs to lose 50 plus pounds. Not everybody has been to that place to understand like it's a really shitty place to be at. And I think it swings the other way. Like, I don't know what it's like to be, on the other end of that side, like always being so skinny or so small or so whatever, the language that they use. I've never been on that. So it'd be very difficult for me to coach somebody on that side of the spectrum just because I've never experienced it. And so when you're talking about like focusing on the basics, that's why 2024 is my rebrand year of I'm the basics bitch, because I literally like to stay within my scope of practice. I'm like super crazy about staying there. And it's like, we've all worked with Lacey, right? So I'm like telling Lacey, we're like, I'm just a coach. Like I just coach, like I'm just normal. Like there's nothing, I don't do gut. I don't do this. I don't do all this hormone shit. Like I'm just basic. And she's like, yeah, but Sarah, that's exactly the point. The basics works. And that's how you lost 80 pounds and kept it off for over 4 years. Like just that's exactly who you are. You are basic. And I was like, oh. And so that's why that's where I'm going with it, is just the basic shit: movement, protein, sleep, management, stress management, that kind of stuff. It's just like that's what works. And like you said, people don't realize that. You only know what you know until you know more.
Mm-hmm.
I thought restrictive was the only way too, because I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
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 I listened to a presentation by Sarah Baldwin yesterday, and man,
Me
she
too.
if you were there too, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was on
So
the call.
I completely resonated with you can only take your clients as far as you've been.
Mm.
And exactly what you said, you have been in their position where your heaviest weight was limiting and diminishing your quality of life. Not just you had 5 pounds and felt like, oh, I'm a little puffy today. Like, no, like you felt like your neck, it was hard to breathe, it was hard to move going up the stairs. So you have such a different level of understanding with your clients and level of, I don't know what the right word is, but like just like intimacy, I guess, that you can say, like, I know where you've been, I know how it feels. You can get to the other side.
Mm.
And I think that's really, really cool because I have had two clients that had around 100 plus pounds to lose. And although I can't truly understand what that feels like because I haven't been that overweight, I can understand the ways that their quality of life was diminished when I was sick.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, I find different ways to really understand and be more empathetic and, really, get down there with them. But I'll never be able to understand what it feels like to have to lose that amount of weight. And that's cool that you can do that. Not fun that you had to go through it, but
No.
you got to the other side and now you're teaching women how to do that as well.
Yeah. I think that's, I think like you're talking about, you didn't lose 100 pounds, but your quality of life too was diminished, right? And so
Mhm,
you can relate on that fact to relate to your clients too,
mhm.
because there's still a mindset piece there, right? Like
Yeah.
whether you're 100 pounds overweight or you have a debilitating, diagnosis or something like that where your body is literally not functioning appropriately, like those are all things that even though they're different, they're the mindset piece is really the same, and that mindset work is really where I hone in and help women, just because it's like, you know, um, talking about like restrictive diets and extreme things, clients, when they come to me, they have this expectation that every single week we're going to shift, we're going to change
Mm.
something, we're going
Mhm.
to remove this, add that, take away this, put this over here, do the redo the puzzle. It's like, sometimes progress is just doing the same shit you did last week and doing it well again. You know,
Mhm.
like, so that's a big thing that we talk about too. So
Yeah, that's such a such a hard place to bring women into, especially because of all the different dieting programs and exercise programs. Maddie and I talked about this a while back, but just like being a program hopper. And it's almost like we're programmed to want to constantly switch because there's
Mhm.
so much we're taking in, whether it's like on Instagram, TikTok, or if you're in the grocery store looking at all the magazines as you're in the checkout aisle. Like there is always something that pulls you in and it seems better than what you're currently doing. And so to have to remind clients and teach them that just because we're not changing the protocol, the plan, it doesn't mean that we're not moving forward. Like why change something when it's not broken?
yeah,
And that is sometimes it's a hard situation as a coach because you might get pushback. You might have clients being like, but I just want to keep moving forward and they have this good energy and it's like, okay, great. Love the energy, but like to move forward, we don't necessarily need to make these crazy changes. And even like a coach and somebody that is losing weight, I want change sometimes, but I'm like, girl, no, no, no. Hold yourself back. You just want change because it's like exciting and kind of like that dopamine hit. So that's where the mindset work is like totally key.
yeah, I agree with the dopamine piece of that, right? Because if we change something that means something, we make it
Yeah.
mean something. And so once it means something, it's like, okay, well, if we're not changing something, then what does that mean?
Mm,
Right. And so I
Mhm.
feel like for me, that's where it comes in. It actually means that you did so great last week that we don't have to do anything. So
mm,
that's fucking cool. Like, and so I try to bring it in to that way. It's like, I have one client that almost every other week in her check-in, she'll be like, so I just wanted to check in with you and see how, if you think that, do you think that I need to be doing something different? And I'm like, if I thought that, I would let you know. So for her, it's a constant reassurance
yeah.
because
Yeah.
she is programmed, like you said, we're programmed to program hop. We're programmed to always be doing something different. And so for her, it's a constant reassurance of like, you're doing the thing. And so sometimes doing the thing is exactly what you need to do. So I talk about not making like sharp, hard turns, like
Mm,
just easing into the curve as opposed to just going like whoop and pulling that steering wheel, crashing and burning. That's what we're actually used to doing. And so when we put our full off, take our foot off the gas and just kind of curve into it a little bit, then it's just like, it's a little bit easier. But again, it's not what we're used to or accustomed to doing. So
Yeah, one thing I really have been like honing in on with clients when they are struggling, they're like, I'm not seeing the changes, or the changes are so subtle. We can see them easily, but it's hard for them to see it.
yeah.
Is I remind them that I'm here to take the emotion out of like the decisions.
mm,
And show them the progress that they're making. Even if it's not like these huge, the scale is changing insanely, but just in the number of steps have increased or their consistency has increased, and really looking like, hey, I understand you are feeling really frustrated. Let's talk about, the habits that you're doing and where you're not meeting the goals, and how we can improve on that. Instead of being like, I'm not making progress, I'm cutting my calories, or I'm adding more workouts, really taking the emotion. I mean, that's why they work with us, because we know what we're doing, we know how to get to their goal. And trust me, the number of times I would make a decision when I'm super emotional, whether it's with my business or my health, like it would not be good.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that for me personally, when we're talking about that, I think that's a really good way of framing it. I've never framed it that way, like helping them take the emotion out of the decision. I've
mm.
never framed it that way, but I think it's a great way to talk about that. Um, and this is kind of a question for you guys, but like, how do you handle it when you have a person like super emotionally tied to an outcome? And I just did a reel on this recently because it's like they hire us, like you mentioned, to help them make these choices and guide them through this process. But how do you guys handle it when you have a client that just does what they want anyway? And it's like, okay, I don't really care what you say at this point, because at that point, for me personally, I get really frustrated, and I'm like, why are you here? Why did you hire me? You're just
Right.
gonna slash your calories to 1,400 like you've always done. You're doing the same thing you always did before. I'm not needed here. How do you guys handle that? I'm just curious.
Um, so I don't work with clients like that, right?
Okay.
If
Hmm.
there is that big of a disconnect, then there is a conversation, because I can take your money and you can do whatever the fuck you want, but that's not in align with how I want to actually support you and change your life. But fuck yeah, there are times when I'm like screaming in a void, and I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, where is this happening? And I have been able to bring those clients back in and be like, okay, why are we choosing to ignore the red flags and like lean back into what we used to? And a lot of it comes from not fully trusting or being really insecure about the process. And that's totally valid. But that's where I remind them, this is a two-way conversation. I'm not just telling you what to do. I need you to communicate back to me that you're feeling these feelings, and we can work through them. And like Maddie said, work on taking the emotion out of it, because being frustrated is okay,
Hmm.
right? We are human. We're going to have these dynamic feelings, and it's just what we do with that frustration. Um, versus being frustrated and cutting your calories right crazy. You're not doing your check-in, not communicating because you are feeling like I'm not making progress. And I remind them, I'm like, you either are going to do your check-in and communicate and do all that stuff, and the time's still going to go by, or you're not going to do it. So it's a choice that you have to make. And sometimes it results in, we'll finish out your contract, but this doesn't seem like it's in alignment. And then other times it is better, and we get to go deeper. And these are the clients that I've been working with for over 4 years of, when we have those conversations, but it's frustrating because
Mhm.
it's probably like a parent watching their kid make all these mistakes, and you're like, "I want what's best for you, but you also need to learn in some
Yeah.
capacity." Maddie,
Mhm.
how have you experienced that?
Oh, well, that was very well said. I'm glad you started. I was like, what's Allie gonna say? But yeah, I think of two specific times this has happened to me. And I remember one of the first questions I asked when I realized it was just like a pattern, I'm like, okay, this is happening week after week.
Yeah.
Is that I asked, like, how has going about the method that you're going, how has that worked for you in the past? And I remember they responded with like, "Well, it worked for like a hot second, but then like it didn't work anymore." I'm like, "Okay, and you wanted this time, you hired me to have a difference in your health this time." Yeah. Okay. So why are we doing the old method that didn't work? And it was like, "I don't know." I'm like,
Mm,
"Okay." So, and I think it was also the age demographic that I was working with that time. It was like 50s and up. And I think sometimes for those women, it's hard with anyone who's been doing a specific habit for a long time. It's hard to break that, right?
yeah.
It's hard to break something you've been doing for years and years and years. It's ingrained in you. It's ingrained in a lot of 50-year-olds that margarine is better than butter. I mean, some of these things are hard to break.
Yeah.
So it was, we didn't continue after the 6 months because they weren't willing to change or try anything different. And they're allowed to make that choice. But I think it's leading with a lot of like trying to fully understand that, whatever the situation is, it's a lot more than just like, I don't want to do that. There's something else to that. Why are we not changing? What have you been doing for years? And it's a lot of like the way they were raised, what they believe to be true to them, which makes it hard to change. But I think now my messaging has gotten a lot more clear, and I really focus on working with action takers and women that are, more self-led, and want to see the results, and want to make the changes. So I definitely haven't had that situation come up in like over a year, probably.
Yeah.
I think it just speaks to like who I'm trying to talk to now, what we say in our content and things like
Mm,
that.
Hmm.
But it's definitely a hard battle. It's a lot of asking questions and making them think, and like you myself try to understand why they're operating in this way instead of just saying like, oh, you're the worst, bye. You
Yeah.
know?
Like, you're
You know, it's
frustrating. I'm firing you.
you're
Yes.
As a client.
Yes.
you're
I don't
frustrating.
think
I'm firing you.
yeah,
I
I
love
don't think I've ever, I'm trying to think back. I have had, oh, the, not the one guy. I've worked with a couple guys here and there. But, and this guy, I highly doubt he's answering. I sent his ass to collections. I hope he's rotting in hell. Just because, like, who pays for 1 month and then ghosts you completely? Who's also another small business owner, kind of in the area. Yeah, send him to
That's
collections.
so
I
awkward.
know. I know. Not like I would never see him. I'd never hire him for any reason. But like you would think like small business owner to small business owner, you wouldn't do
Right.
that to someone. So yeah, send his ass to collections. I hope his credit freaking tanked. But yeah, I that was like the only client I ever would like never take back or ever work with again
Yeah.
because like I don't know who does that, but that's a whole different situation.
You know, it's really interesting as we talk about, clients not following protocols for their own frustrations because they're not seeing progress, the scale isn't changing. They feel I can do it better, right? Like I hired y'all, but I can actually do it better because that comes from a place of just like that insecurity and a lot of the years of like that dieting trauma. But part of the reason I gained like 30 pounds is because I had a coach and we dieted down pretty severely. And this was at a time when like my agoraphobia was like not very managed. So it was not a good time. The body was stressed. She was not vibing. We dieted down, and as our reverse diet plan, it was just let's not track food, let's just kind of intuitively eat. Um I didn't have any balls to push back. I was just like, yeah, I don't actually really feel like this is a good plan, but I'm not saying anything. As a coach, I had all of the reservations, but as a human being with an intense amount of anxiety, I was like, I don't know how to advocate for myself. What the fuck happened? Well, my metabolism was not in a great place, was eating like an asshole, was trying to eat intuitively after dieting down super severely. I was like, why am I giving this person my money? Like I had to stop the contract when it was up. I was so distraught because I was like, I am now in a bad place physically and mentally. This is not the vibe. So I can also, relate to some people blindly following in a sense because they don't know how to speak up for themselves or they don't know better. And in my case, I 100% knew better, but I was in a place of like, I am not confident in anything I'm doing in my personal life. My business and my clients were the only thing that I felt I am doing right because that was easy for me. But myself, anything that I was doing, no, nope. She was like struggling. So it's taken me about 15 months to start to undo the damage and build trust again with a coach that I can actually be honest with. Shout out Kelsey. I like literally she saved me. Um and that is also such a valid part of like women hiring us. They're
Mhm.
trusting us. So sometimes in their frustration, it is really important for us to ask the questions and to try and
Mhm.
pull them out of this feeling of fear where they're like, I'm just going to go back to like my really low calorie diets because that's what I know works.
Mhm.
Um so yeah, that was just every time I talk about that, I get a little bit more angry.
So I'm sitting here really trying to compose my own self because I have a very similar story to this.
Yeah.
I I did when I lost all my weight, I did it all by myself. There was no coach. Instagram wasn't even really barely a thing where you posted
Wow.
like little like still picture of
Yep.
yourself and like that was it. That was what Instagram was, okay?
Yeah.
8 years ago, there were maybe like 3 fit influencers on there, right? That's about it. And so I did it all myself, did all the struggles, learned macros all on my own, trying to learn how to batch track, try to learn how to do shit in the gym. Like I did it all by myself. And so I was a great dieter. Like I can diet like nobody's business. I'm really good at it. But I never have built before. Like I never went into a building phase. And to be fair, I really didn't trust myself. I was just like, this is maybe a bad thing to say about yourself, but I was like, my inner fat girl's totally gonna come out. I'm gonna be like, I can eat more calories. It's like, I don't even have to track my food. I know what this looks like. I'm so great at it,
Yeah.
right? I'd maintained for 4 years. I was like, this is really great. So I go hire a coach, somebody that I know, love, and trust. And I'm like, she's not gonna do me wrong. She knows what she's doing. She's super smart. I've known her for a long time. I've met her in person, like all this stuff. Cool. 3 months and 30 pounds later, because she took my calories from about 1,700 calories in less than 2 months, I was up to 2,800 calories.
Whoa. Wow.
So 3 months. So we started dieting we started building after Thanksgiving of last year, so 2022. And I fired her in March because I was like, well, when you had mentioned like I wasn't good mentally, now I'm not good physically, that's where I got to. Like,
Yeah.
I started to have huge imposter syndrome. Like, I now am basically, I wasn't back where I had been, but I was like, I don't feel good in my skin. I'm starting to get lethargic again. The
Yeah.
neck fat, none of my clothes fit. I had to go buy new clothes again. And I was like, what did I do? Because just like you, it's fine. You feel good. Your period is better. Blah, blah. Eat 100 grams of fat. No big deal. Blah, blah. And I was like, did I know better in the back of my head? I did.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I would never do this to a client. Like
No.
30 pounds in 3 months is excessive. It's way too fast.
Yeah.
And so then, now I'm slowly undoing, but I'm doing it again on my own because I'm like, I don't trust people.
Yeah. It really breaks that trust.
And that's hard to say coming from a coach where I want people to trust me. And I'm like, well, shit, somebody did me dirty. And then it's like, I expect other people to be like, I had this awful experience. Sure, I'll just trust you. And it's like, well, I can't expect that now because I've had my own experience where I thought I did the right thing. I hired a coach who I did trust and it did me dirty. And I was like, shit.
Yeah.
So I can totally relate to your story for there.
Yeah. And that's what also makes us human and really great coaches, when we can be honest and say that not every coach we have hired has been right for us. And I share about that in my content, and I share that in my membership and with my clients, because I know what the feeling of being unsure about something but not knowing how to speak up. So I am so adamant on providing a space to speak up. If something isn't feeling right, speak up. If you have a concern, like, that is not going to make me feel insecure as a coach. It's not going to make me feel like a bad coach. It's not going to make me have any emotion towards you other than just like being proud that you're speaking up for yourself. And dude, I felt like a fat coach who is teaching other women how to lose weight.
That was me.
Imposter syndrome up the fucking wazoo. I was like, ugh. I was so, and it wasn't even just vanity, but it's like going on hikes. I just felt like a piece of shit because I was like, I am so out of breath. I feel horrible. And it also adds that layer to clients that want to lose weight, that we really do understand their experience. And in Maddie's experience, women that want to get stronger and coming from a place where you were so weak, you couldn't get off the couch. Like, these are real situations that we've been in where we can actually be the fucking best coach because we know the real feelings of what they're experiencing. So I try and come at it with less trauma every time. But Kelsey has gotten crazy voice notes from me sometimes. Like, when we first started working together, I was like, I'm really scared. I'm not vibing with this. I am like, I'm not doing well. And she's like, we're doing this together. I was like, yes, we are. And I love you for that.
One thing Lacey said to us, like, I don't know when this was, probably like 2+ years ago, she said, an unsaid need is an unmet need.
Yeah.
And that has forever stuck with me, even in my marriage, when like me and Joel talk about One day I was like voicing, I'm like, we like never go on dates. Now we are like very frugal people, so we can like travel and do fun stuff like that and like buy a sauna, And I remember I said, like, I want to go on more dates. He's like, well, you don't plan them either. And so right then and there, he was voicing like he had this unmet need I had no idea about, that he wants me to plan some dates. And I'm like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then he'll reciprocate. And it's just, I start like every onboarding video I send to clients, I end it with an unsaid need is an unmet need. I want to help you as much as I can. I don't know if you're struggling. Like, I'm sure you guys both can understand where you have clients that, they are pouring their heart out in check-ins, and then however you deliver your check-in, back, video, text, whatever, and, you're asking questions and how can I support you better? What about this? And you get nothing back, crickets.
Mm,
And I have some of those clients, I've had some of those, and then it kind of just like one day it just like abrupts and they're like, "Can I schedule a call with you?" And then in the call, it's like this, hour long, yes, and they're sobbing, and I'm like, "Where was this the whole time?" Yeah, like
right.
we could have been working on this the entire time. I'm so glad you shared it with me now, but I even have some older clients that just love to be like, "Hey, my shoulder's been bugging me for the last 6 months. What's going" I'm like, "6 months?" And I know she probably knows who it is, so I love you, and she knows I yell at her every time, like, "Tell me when it happens."
Yeah, like, and that's I'm the same way. It's like in each check-in, when especially if they do a whole dump of stuff on me, it's like, hey, this is why you pay for one-on-one communication with me, huh? So that like
100%.
Tuesday we could already had this all figured out and hammered down, and you could have probably felt way better about it. And so I always express to my clients, the more you communicate, the better your results. Period. Like,
Mm.
the more that you can talk to me, I don't really care if it's literally you're just like, oh my God, my poop felt so great today. And we bang out a conversation and then it goes somewhere else. I have a couple clients who are doing kitchen remodels. And the one client is like constantly taking her updated photos. And then they found termites in part of her thing. And she's like sending me all these, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed. I don't know how much it's going to cost. And, but we were able to oh, just handle it. And so that
Yeah.
she didn't feel so overwhelmed with the news that she was getting. She had a space to go, that she felt like, okay, I can bring this to you. So I always tell my clients, the more you communicate, the better your results are going to be, just because I'm going to be able to walk you through things that you're going through. They're not going to be stuck inside of you for a whole week and then you just dump it all out, put it in a check-in, and then maybe you watch the check-in 3 or 4 days after I give it to you. So that's another issue, but that's beside the point. But
I
So,
love I
go
love the
ahead.
idea of just our hard work check-ins just sitting there for a couple of days. I'm
Oh
like,
god.
a reminder, watch the video above, please.
yeah, I always let them know. I'm like, I can see when you watch your check-in. It gives me a notification.
Yeah.
PS. I have one client that literally watches her check-in, fills out her check-in, waits the whole week, watches her check-in, fills out her check-in. I said,
Oh
you're
no.
always a week behind,
Girl.
always. And I'm like, you can't be mad when you don't get results when you're not doing what you need to do. Like,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
so, and unfortunately, there are moments where we, like, as coaches, have to say things that are just hard to hear because of those kinds of things. It's like, if you're waiting a whole week to watch a check and that I've given you instruction potentially to actually to shift something, hey, we need to take this out, or we need to make sure we're really focusing on the protein this week. I noticed it's a little low. Like, what's our plan this week going to be to make sure that if nothing else happens, make sure we get that done, right? Um, or maybe it is somebody that's like super overwhelmed. So it's like, how can we peel back the onion a little bit and make things a little bit more uh, doable and feel like success this week? So if you don't watch that for a whole week and then you're in this set that you're still thinking that you have to be doing 65,000 things and not realizing like, no, no,
Mhm.
no, we could have pulled it back a little bit, but you didn't watch your check-in. So that
Mhm.
piece is like, woof. I always tell them, I can see, guys, I got the notification, so like, watch out.
Oh, I should start doing that.
Big brother. I love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I
What
want
were
to
you gonna say,
take
Maddie?
a
Yeah.
left turn to ask you about this because yeah, because something that I have kind of went down this path, and then I was like, you know what? I'm done with this path. I think I'm good. Allie knows what I'm talking about. Okay, so you're a mom, you're a wife, you're a business owner, you do a podcast, you do lots of things. What do you do to, like, when it comes to friends? Like, how are you maintaining friendship? Are you trying to make new friends? Have you tried that and said F it and you're done, just like I have recently? Like, what is that like for you?
Oh boy. Okay. So the first thing, me personally, I don't believe in hashtag balance. I just, I've tried so long to find balance, and you have to balance, and y'all, shit is never like this. It's never 50-50. There's
Mm,
always something that's going to take precedence over something else, whether it's your spouse, your kids, your job, your whatever, your friendships, whatever. There's always going to be something that's off kilter. So I don't believe in the balance piece of this.
mm,
So my kids are older. I have a 15, almost 15 and 11-year-old. So I have two in high school this year, into sports. They club swim. They constantly do all this stuff. And I will say that as far as like friendship piece goes, the moment I started my journey, I started shifting. Everything started shifting for me. People didn't understand why you have to go. Do you really have to go to the gym again? Like, I don't understand why you're going to the gym again.
mm,
It's like, okay, well, that's your business. Like, this is my business, and you can be a great friend and support me, or
mhm,
fuck off. I don't so like that's like, and unfortunately, kind of got to that point where I had to put blinders on, and even now, going into my fourth year of business, it is very difficult. People don't understand this life. Everybody thinks it's like you're sitting by a pool, like drinking your martini and getting fanned with a feather and eating grapes, and or like traveling to Bali or whatever else some of these fit influencers show you that this life is. And my life is not like that, not even a little bit. So recently I've started doing more in-person networking just because I'm really more into in-person stuff right now.
mhm.
Um, but I actually joined this thing in Michigan. We have one in Michigan, and it's called Girl Gang. And this lady started this girl gang um, post COVID, where in Michigan we were pretty shut down for quite some time. And so she was looking to get back out and just go doing things, even if it was just like going for a walk or a hike or something like that. And so she created this little small group, and this little small group is now 7, almost 8 chapters. There's one in Ohio, one in
Oh,
Tennessee.
wow.
Yeah. And then 6 chapters here in Michigan. And I've never been to one of their events. That you create an event, you go. Like, some people do like hikes. Some people they're like going on a cruise in the Caribbean. Like, that's
Oh,
one of
wow.
their events. Um, some people go to karaoke. Some people do card tournaments. Some people like you can create. They went to the Toledo Zoo and slept with the polar bear. Didn't know you could even do that. Like, this is like real things that they're doing, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. Um, and so I've never been to an event. And I was like, I just really need to get over myself and go meet some new people and get
Mhm,
out there. And this is the same kind of thing that I talk about, you know, being in alignment. And I'm telling my clients to get the confidence, and the confidence doesn't come till after you do the thing, like on all these things. So I'm like, okay, so you're telling people, now you need to go live what you're telling people to do, and lead
mhm.
and show them how this is done. So one of the times somebody had posted a comment about doing some fitness stuff, and I was like, ooh, oh, this is me. This is where I'm coming in. Okay, I'm coming in hot. So I'm like, hey, if you need any help, if you want to, organize things, I have equipment, I'm a trainer, blah, blah, blah. So unbeknownst to me, the lady who actually started this group messaged me. She's like, oh my God, I love your podcast. Would you be willing to come speak at one of our events? Sure,
Oh,
absolutely love it.
wow.
Yeah. So it's like kind of like my first little speaking gig.
Mhm,
And that's what I'm really trying to do, is get in front of people this year. It's
mm,
kind of like
mhm.
I'm wanting to touch more women any way possible. And then a couple of days later, she's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, like, we really love your podcast. How would you feel about hosting our podcast? I was like, do you want me to like put it together? She's like, no, I want you to like be the voice of our podcast. And I was like, oh, sure. So let me add one more thing to my plate, so
Yeah,
that I have no time for anything else. And and that's why I say I don't really feel like there's balance. And so this will give me an opportunity to
yeah.
kind of touch the people that I want to touch. It'll give me a little bit more confidence to get out and go to these events, because now I'll be actually interviewing some of these women and kind of getting involved with them. But I really truly believe in leading as a coach. And so for me to make friends, it's a hard thing. Number one, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm pretty brash. I'm pretty dry. I'm pretty opinionated. Like, it's cool, whatever it is. So I know that like not everybody's gonna be my friend. Like, that's kind of who I am, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm way over quality over quantity. So it's really just about like putting yourself out there. So for me, making friends isn't easy. Even like my kids have parents. I'm not really their friends. Like, we don't like really do anything. And so it's just kind of like I don't do a lot with people. Um, I focus on my family and I focus on my business. And I know that's like, I don't know, that's just the season that I'm in right now. Is like, this is kind of my focus and where I'm at. And the friends who are there are the friends who are there. I've had to say to certain friends, I have to pull back from you because I'm going this way and you're dragging me. You're being an anchor, and I don't want to. I can't be around you. And that was hard. That was so hard to do. As friends that I've been friends with for a long time.
How do they take that?
Well, this particular friend knew it was coming because there had been a couple of incidents that had happened, and it was just kind of time. And so when I pulled back and I sent her a message and I just said, I need some space. At this point, she's like, I knew this was coming. I knew this was going to happen. I'm really, really sorry. I need to get my shit together. And that's just been the story of her story for a long time. I need to get my shit together. I need to get my shit together. Like, okay, I don't know how many more times you need to get your shit together, but I'm moving on, right? And so for me, it just became, it wasn't an easy thing to do, but it was necessary in the moment. So my husband worked overseas for 7 years, all while I ran the home, started my business, went through COVID, blah, blah, blah. He was in Iraq for the majority, 9 out of 12 months a year. And so I have been always kind of a lone soldier, if you will. I do everything on my own, and I'm okay with that. And so when it came time to pull back on this friend who really has been there for the majority of the time that I've lived in Michigan in my adult life, it hurt really, really bad. But at the same time, it's like, again, as a coach, it's like when I tell people, like, you need to be, blinders got to be up.
Yeah.
And what other people do is really not your business, but it is your business once they try to pull you away from what you're trying to achieve. And so you just have to kind of be the big person at that point, put on the big girl panties and just say, it's not that I don't love you, and it's not that I don't love her or want the best for her or want her to finally get her shit together. I would love that for her, but it's just not for me. So it's hard. It's not easy. Being a woman, trying to make friends at 40, woof.
Trying to make friends at 26, I feel
Is
like.
woof. Give me 1 second. Joel's like, I want you to start locking the front door more, and then doesn't bring a key. And he's like, can you let me in? So 1 second.
I feel like, Maddie and I talk about this a lot, but we are very similar in the way of like, we have a lot of friends that have always like been our friends. And it feels really hard sometimes to meet other people our age because they might not be business owners or they might be, in different places of their lives. Like Maddie's married. I'm going to be married very soon. Like we are in this place where we know what our priorities are. And so when you said like, I kind of, broke up this friendship, like I'm like gagged. I'm like, oh my God, she knew it was coming. This is like a breakup. I can't like, but I am so proud of you. Like I don't know if I could. I mean, I don't think there's feel
I
at
could
this
not
moment.
see you doing it, Allie. You would hold
Well,
on to
there's
that
no one in
friendship
my
forever.
life that I don't feel like I vibe with. Like I can't think of anybody that I'm like, I could live without them.
I can live without you. I mean, to be fair and honest, she really has been such a pivotal piece of and such a support. And so it was very difficult. Like the choice to say, I can't do this anymore it was so hard. Like I ghosted her for like 4 days. She's messaging me after this whole like last incident happened. I'm like, I'm just ghosting you. Like, I'm not a ghoster, but like, I don't know what else you want me to say. Like,
Yeah.
your apology for the 55th time is just, it doesn't mean much. And I need some space from that. And so it's very hard. Like, I actually just had breakfast with her yesterday,
Oh,
but I haven't had breakfast with her since November.
okay.
Prior to that, I've only seen her about 3 times since my birthday, since my 40th birthday in September. And that's when like the big, like, you know, so
Oh,
it was hard. And I feel, I do feel bad. I feel like it's not what I wanted to do. And so I do have some sadness around that. I do feel bad about it. But at the same time, again, I'm going this way and you're just continuously pulling me down. And it's like, that's not the life I want. And it's just not where I'm at in this season of my life. And so I'm typically not, believe it or not, a non-confrontational person. I don't like to argue or fight. Like I dislike it. And so that for me was like hard. It was really hard. So.
Oh,
I'm a
God.
firm believer that we are the average of who we spend, the 5 people the most time with. And so like whenever, just kind of like you were saying, like with your clients, like having blinders on, like if you're having family members or friends, we're talking about friends here, that are ridiculing you or judging you or just being like, why are you going to the gym? Like you don't need those people in your life. Like they
No.
are getting jealous that they're not able to do what you're doing. So they're like, why are you doing that? Like, that's weird. Like, you
Yeah.
don't need to keep those people in your life. And it was like you just said, it was hard for you to cut off that relationship. I'm not saying it's easy. I guess depending on the person, it could be easy. But, I personally struggle with making new friends. I think I just have very high expectations because I feel like I deliver a lot as a friend. And when I don't get that reciprocated back, I'm like, ugh, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
I think I'll never be able to be as good as a friend. Besides Lindsay, like my best friend, like who we had on here, like we had been really good friends for a good amount of years because we were good at reciprocating back
Mm.
to each other. I think we just have like we just somehow both know what each other kind of needs. Maybe I'm not meeting her expectations, who knows? But maybe I'm not. But I
She's
feel
on
like
another podcast talking about how she needs to ghost this said
yes.
friend. That is you.
As we were just texting like yesterday. So who knows? But yeah, I definitely struggle with making friends. I think also with being an entrepreneur and being a business owner, like I think I just struggle with people who aren't up trying to up level and want more out of their life, and people that are still like, it's not a bad thing if you're still hanging out with people you had friends in high school, but if it's just like, oh, we were drinking here, doing this there, I'm like, what are you doing? Like are you that bored you can't like venture out and meet new people? Like, I don't know. The thing that's hard for me is to be friends with people who don't have that like that
Drive.
drive to want more. I'm like, don't you want more out of your life? Like, do
Yeah.
something else, you know?
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah. And
struggle with that.
that's where like the whole, like, I just need to get my shit together.
Get your
Yo,
shit
it's
together.
been a hot
Yeah,
minute
just
since
do
you said
it.
that 5 years ago. You need to
Oh,
get your shit together. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
when are we getting our shit together? Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what
yeah.
I'd like to know. And for her, it's what you're talking about too, like people who are up leveling themselves. And that's even something that like me and my husband had a conversation when he quit his job in Iraq and came home. I'm like, you better be ready to fucking keep up, because you're gonna get left behind if you don't. Like, I'm not slowing down. Like, that's just not who I am anymore. And so that was kind of like, he was kind of like, oh, which is really funny because he's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not an entrepreneur, right? This is not who I was a teacher. Yes, y'all, I taught. He built children. Scary, I know. But I was a
The tiny
teacher.
humans.
Yes, very tiny. And, like I go to my 9 to 5, I blah, 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 blah. But it's like at the same time. So when I lost all this weight, like it was his idea, like you should go get your, personal training certification. I'm like, I can't do that. He's like, why? I don't know. Can I do that? Like, and so that's kind of where it like started for me. But he is like the real estate guy and the entrepreneur and creates like 55 different companies in his brain and blah. And I'm like, and I'm just over here like, oh, maybe I'll do that someday, you know. So for me to tell him like, you better be ready to keep up because if not, you're getting left behind. And I'm not slowing down. And I think he was really like, whoa, taken back by that. But that's how I feel. Right.
Mm.
And so for me, like you're talking about not being around people who are up leveling themselves. If you're not going forward or you're not going up, you're not in alignment with what I want in my life. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think at my age, I hope to, or I will, I'm putting it out there that I will be in the place that you're in. Cause like I want to have children and I want to be able to be a very present mom and be home with them for the most part. But I always think in the back of my head, I'm like, how do you do both? Like, how do you find the energy and the time to do both? And I love it's so refreshing how you're like, there is no balance. Like, I don't know what the fuck is balance. Don't know her. She's not real. Because it's so true. Like, we sometimes things require more energy and you have to move the energy around. Sometimes in a relationship, you give 90 and the other person gives 10 because maybe they're going through some shit. Like, it's
mhm.
always kind of being allocated to where it needs. But I just find it really refreshing as a mom who is so dedicated and is making sure that you're doing all of the things and you're just doing it. Like, it's not like I'm not thinking about it. I'm not trying to figure out where this balance is going. I'm just showing up and I'm doing it. How do you make that time for yourself? How do you recharge? Because I could imagine if we're not recharging, are we going to hit that wall? Are we just going to burn out and then like what happens?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Self-care, what does that mean? I like actually how you put it as recharge because I really don't feel like, everybody's version of self-care is kind of different what that means. Um, so for me, it actually, my kids do think I work a lot. They think they're like, you're doing this again. You're bringing your computer, and they do think I work a lot, but they also understand like what I'm trying to do. Like my daughter's been on my podcast with me, right? So I really try to involve them when and where I can in what we're doing. They had health class this year, and my kids like totally schooled their teacher on macronutrients, telling them that protein does this, and they're like, "No, it doesn't." Like all these. I was like, "That's right, you tell them."
That's
And
awesome.
so I try to like part of my mission is so that my kids don't have issues like I had issues, especially my daughter.
Mm.
And so part of what I'm doing is I'm bringing them into my world. I'm allowing them to see things. I'm allowing them to experience things. My two oldest go to the gym with us. Um, so it's for me, it's about involving them in this process. My daughter is super duper artsy. She loves to draw. She's very good at it. She's very creative. So like during COVID, when I actually started going online, I was doing backyard outside boot camps, and she would create all the stuff in Canva for me. And this was 4 years ago, so she was 10, right? So for me, it's like involving them in this process as part of the balance, quote
Yeah.
unquote, right? And then as far as like recharging, man, that's a really good question. I don't actually think I do a great job of recharging. I don't think that I do enough of
Mm.
recharging. As somebody, as I mentioned, my husband was gone. I did all the things. My kids
Yeah.
are used to me doing all of the things.
Mhm.
And so with him home now, there's still a shift that we're trying to, and he's been home almost April will be a year. There's still a shift that we're trying to get in our house where it's like, I don't have to make dinner every fucking night. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Mm.
I don't have to empty the dishwasher every fucking time. It needs to be empty. Okay, cool. And so now we got this like chores thing going on, and we have, you know, I bought this little calendar thing. It's called a skylight. I don't get any credit for promoting this, but it's called a skylight, and it pulls in your calendar, and it gets hung on the wall or on your counter. You can put it on your counter, and it has like what everybody's got done. Everything's color coded, tells you what's going on for the month, the day, the week, the whatever. You can put your chores in there for the kids, all this stuff. But for me, I use it as like almost a meal planner too, because I swear to God, if somebody comes and asks me what's for dinner, I'm going to punch them in the face. So it's like,
Literally.
go look at the chart. Like
yeah.
we build everything out in there. So it also is like, for me, it's like finding like tools to help me relieve some of the pressure. I actually have a cleaner that comes every other week to deep
Yeah.
clean shit because again, my kids clean the bathrooms and I'm sure my 15-year-old doesn't actually like do what he's supposed to with the toilet. So to get a good deep clean every other week is really good. So it's like finding things that I can that are important to me that I can delegate elsewhere. So now that the kids are significantly older, they have chores. You know, somebody's job is to wipe down the counters. Somebody else's job is to pick up dog poo. Somebody else's job is to vacuum. And so it's just like, and then everybody participates in the dishwasher, you know, chores. So it's really a matter of like delegating kind of what I need done. I also tend to work, I have an office, but we just got a new puppy dog and he's too big for my office now. And so I tend to work out in the main space of my house as well. Right. So kids come home from school, we can sit down, they can sit down with me and, you know, they can do their homework or if they need something, then I'm still available for them if they need me. But honestly, doing things like podcasting, as much as like adding another podcast that I'm going to be hosting, it's work. I love it. I don't know about how you guys feel about, I was assuming you guys love your podcast as well. This is recharging for me, going on and talking about things that I love without giving a shit. People can shut me off. You don't have to like my shit. I'm not going to have to deal with all these, you know, keyboard warriors on a reel that have something to say about how I look or what I think or what my opinion is, right? It's the place that I kind of get to go and express myself as I want to. And that is recharging. That is really what is recharging for me. So
I think it's something Joel struggles with understanding about me is that like I recharge by doing activities that I really enjoy.
yeah.
And when you have different types of ways to recharge, like I think you and I are very similar in that. Like for me, getting into I'm blanking. Working with a gun and gun ownership and practicing how to shoot and safety, like that's very recharging for me because one, it's empowering and it's using my brain in a total different way. Like
Yeah.
we wear many hats in our business. One minute we're podcasting, one minute we're doing marketing, next we're content creation, I guess marketing, but then we're working with clients and we're on billing, like, you know, then I'm like talking to Weebly about my domain. Like what you know what I mean? Like we wear so many hats then just to do something that's completely opposite. Like I'm going to dry shoot practice in my house. Like that is recharging to me. And I think Joel has struggled with understanding that like I recharge in a different way. Like just scrolling and numbing my brain isn't recharging my battery, but learning how to do something that is polar opposite from what I do every day, like too many hours of the day, that's recharging to me. So I can understand how, you know, yours is too, because that's like, it's not mindless, but it's in a different way. You're not thinking about anything else. And going to the sauna is really recharging for me because I'm actively working on my autoimmune disease. So just, you know, different ways. I think we are all allowed to have ways that we can recharge. And they're not all going to look like getting a pedicure, getting a manicure. Like that's kind of for me, but like sometimes I struggle with like it having a purpose.
Right.
And like, you know, that's something I have to work on myself. My sister yells at me. She's, you can do something without a purpose. I'm like, no, it needs a purpose.
Yeah, I agree with that. I used to go get manicures and they're not done now. It was just something that, again, when my husband shifted home, it was an expense that wasn't like necessary. Then I was starting to get pissed off because I'm like, they're shipping in 2 days. And it's like, I just spent X amount of dollars on this manicure and blah, blah, blah. And so I only get them, you know, when I need them. And honestly, for me, that wasn't really recharging because that actually makes me anxious. I don't like people touching me. I don't like massages. Oh, go get a massage. Well, no, I don't.
Oh,
I
I
actually don't
love
like
them.
massages. I hate people touching me.
I'm
Like
like,
that
get
is
in
not.
there.
Oh God, no. Like I like the way it releases it, but I don't like the whole process of it. Like, why do I have to like get in a robe and then walk into the dark, scary room? And it's like, and I'm half naked, and I'm like, why can't you just do this with a shirt on? Like, is there what in the world? you know?
I am
Yeah.
obsessed. I
Hmm.
fucking relate. Don't touch me.
Thank you.
I don't want to be on this table. I don't want to feel like I can't move. I don't want to get a pedicure. I don't want to get a manicure. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, please, you're way too close to my booty cheek right now. Thank you. I don't understand, why is it necessary for you to be this close to my booty cheek? I don't.
I get
And,
that.
and
For me, it's the like talking. I'm like, I just want like silence,
mm,
Like my one
Do
friend,
they
she's
try
in
and
this.
talk to you?
I know, I was gonna say
Well,
that's
like
fucking
when you
weird.
get a manicure and pedicure, they're kind of like, you know what
Okay.
I mean? They're kind of like getting
No
a
one's ever
haircut.
talking to me.
Oh, when you get a haircut, now I can't speak to this
Oh,
because by
love
the
getting a
time
haircut.
by the time this episode comes out, it'll be 1 year since I got my hair butchered by this bitch. Literally, she was so evil. Never will go there ever again. Not even gonna name anyone, but she was incredibly rude to me. And I haven't got my hair cut since. And also like scalp issues with my autoimmune,
Right.
so that's a whole nother thing. But it'll be 1 year since I got that done. And I'm like, you know what? I really want to go next appointment, next hairstylist, like whoever she is, she's out there somewhere. I want to be like, can we do silent appointments? Like no talking. I don't need it. I don't need a small talk. I don't need little like, because it's just like energy to do that and have small talk. I hate small talk. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Hate it. Like, don't talk to me.
You know what's iconic?
What?
My hairstylist. So I was at a salon like when I was it was like 8th grade, and I was getting highlights for like the first time. And the foils literally were on fire. Like they literally in flames on my head. So I obviously never went back there. And then I found my current hairstylist now. She is my queen. I go in there, we talk for like my hair usually takes like 4 to 6 hours. So we
Oh,
talk.
geez.
There is never a gap. She is my person. If I have shit going on, if I just need to catch up on reality TV, I want to hear about she just got engaged, I want to hear about everything. Like she is my person. And so that you feeling like don't talk to me at the hair salon is like me going for a pedicure. Do not find that enjoyable. Don't want to fucking do it. Will sit in the salon chair for 6 hours and talk to my bestie gal because there is such a calming presence about her that makes it like this is not small talk. We actually like know the craziest shit about each other. And that's the type of like, I'm like, this is what I live for. That's my like one thing where I'm like, I could be here all day and it doesn't matter.
Mm,
I'd rather jump
yeah.
off a bridge.
She's like,
Nope.
that's that's funny. I just recently started, so I have curly hair,
Yeah.
and I recently started going to an actual curly girl stylist. So she went to New York to the curly girl school to learn how to cut hair. She has
That's
very
cool.
curly hair herself. Yeah, it's very cool. And so it's a very different process. So they cut your hair dry, and
Hmm.
then you go. Then she has an assistant, and that assistant will then wash and condition your hair and start to come back out, and then she'll start to style it, and then she will come back. Courtney will come back and start doing all the other things, like the minute things. Oh, do we need to cut a little bit more off here or there, or whatever else? There's not a lot of talking, and I'm totally okay with that. However, I love Courtney, and I could absolutely talk to her for like ever if that was an option. She also has this like very like relaxing, just calming
Mm.
piece of her, which would be fine. But I'm one of those, I could small talk people, or I don't have to talk to you at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like if
Hmm.
if you're gonna like, oh, so where are you from? Like we can
Yeah,
do that.
that
Cool.
Yeah.
me. That bores me though.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
mean, I feel like I could talk to a wall if I had to. Like when I was heavily in, when I was doing a lot of like in-person networking, like that's what you have to do. You have to make conversation. You have to be, you can't go in there like, okay, why am I here? Like
Yeah.
not open to talking to anyone. So you have to like, you know how to do that. So
Yep.
I've gotten really good at doing it, but then I just realized, I think this is months after I've already told this to Allie. I think I told it one of our intros, but like I realized in-person networking is just not for me. Like I just want to be like never here in Pittsburgh. So like why am I doing all this in-person networking, Um like when this comes out, I'll be in Colorado. Like, so it was just not the right thing for me. But the last one I went to, I felt super obligated to go because I had signed up. I had a donation I was taking there for, it was like a, I'm forgetting when it was, but it was like a,
Valentine's Day.
yeah, it was like a Galentine's Day event. So like I didn't get the memo. Everyone was like wearing like literal hearts. So I literally looked like I was back in my tomboy phase. Like I had on like black joggers, a black crew neck, and a black hat. Like I walk in like they all have like heart shirts and I'm like, I don't belong here.
The antithesis
Not me.
of
Yeah.
Galentine's Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like looking like I was going through a divorce or something. Like I was just like,
Cupid did not find you. We got it. Got it.
no. So it was just like I was like, this is not for me. And after that, I said that never again. But just like knowing what's for you and what's not for you. But yeah, I don't know how I got in that tangent, but yeah.
Well, I think
No.
it's important to understand what actually recharges you, right? Like for me, like podcasting, absolute recharging. Every time we finish recording, I am in such a better mood. I have good energy. I fucking dominate the day. Fridays are one of the best days of the week for me because we get to talk so deeply. And like Maddie and I voice message all the time. We're always texting, but to see her face, to actually like have a real life conversation, that's the shit that we love. And so knowing that, okay, I can't just scroll or do a face mask, like that might feel nice, but is it recharging you? Do you feel better after doing said thing? And sometimes for me, it is extensive skincare. It is taking a longer shower, like pouring into myself. And then other times it's putting on my fucking headphones, putting on a podcast, organizing my office or the house, or going outside or whatever the fuck it may be. Whatever works for you. And like,
Yeah.
if going to in-person events is like fucking draining for you and it's not actually
Mm,
helping,
Yeah.
then let it go. So
yeah.
I just, oh man, podcast. I love podcast. This is like so
I
fun
do.
right now.
I
I
know.
love this.
I even said that podcasting with Allie has ruined friendships for me. Like, because the way that we talk about things and have very in-depth conversations, even off the podcast, I'm like, you ruined everything for me. I
I
can't
was gonna
have
say, so
normal
it's all
friends.
Allie's fault. Way to
Yeah.
go. Good job.
Yeah. You know
Now I know why
what?
you're trying to find new friends.
Yeah, Maddie can't find new friends because I am here ruining lives.
Yes, exactly.
She
Yeah, no,
is.
I think that's important too. So a lot of the in-person, I just went to one on Wednesday, an in-person networking event. And what I'm finding a lot in my area, so I'm in the Detroit area, but what I'm finding a lot is like it's very clicky and it's like the same people like
Mm-mm.
over and over again, which is okay. I'm okay with that. But I also am like, I need to go do something with these people that I don't really actually
Mhm,
know now because
mhm.
I'm kind like I've already heard this person speak about burnout for 14 times. Like I need to hear
I'm
something
burnt
different.
out from hearing about burnout.
Thank you. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, and I love her. She's a great speaker and she is wonderful. But I'm kind of like, do I really need to hear this again?
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like where I was at. I almost didn't go to this exact event because of the speaker that was going to be there. And she had this event in October where there was a line of speakers. Now all those line of speakers are now speaking in an April event. And I'm like, I'm not going to that event because I don't need to hear the same effing shit. Well, the 5 most important things in your life on a list. Did you put yourself? Oh my God, I don't need to hear that again. Like,
Yeah.
great, but I already know that I'm fucking number one. And if I'm not number one, then nothing else behind me matters. So I already
Mhm.
know that I'm the most important thing in my life. Like, because I can't be a good wife, a good mom, a good coach, a good anything else if I'm not number one. But I don't need to hear that again at
Mm.
Yeah.
another event. So I think like
Yeah.
that's where I'm having the struggle of like in-person stuff right now is like it's the same fucking 14 people.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That is exhausting. You're like, I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're gonna say. I have memorized the pitch. Like, no, I need a break, which is like so valid. I feel like a lot of in-person networking events do become clicky and repetitive, and
Yeah.
that would drain me. That would 100% drain me.
Yeah. So I got to meet some new people, which was cool on Wednesday. So that's what I was like. That was my focus instead of like
Yeah.
And like I kind of feel bad because there were videos that were posted and it's like picking at my nail and I'm like moving around. I'm like, oh my God. Like you could tell I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, fucking have heard this conversation about burnout between you and your mom 42 times.
Yeah.
You have a book about it. Got it. I don't need it. I did it again. So I kind of felt bad because all these videos are getting posted. I was like, oh fuck. Like, oh, can we take that video down? Like shit.
Like
Like,
blur my face.
oh my God, shit. Right.
Uh,
But again, so
Dad,
my
that is
focus,
so funny.
yeah. So my focus wasn't really for the speaker. My focus
Sure.
was like,
the
who have I not
topic.
met yet?
Yeah.
Who do I need to now talk to that I don't know? So that's kind of where I shifted my energy, which
Yeah.
made it not tolerable. Made it tolerable. There we go.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely gonna have to have you on again because I want to learn. Of course, we like sent you some questions. We hit 2 out of 3, which is actually
Yeah.
good for us.
Great.
Last time it was 1 out of 5. But I want to hear more about the podcast that you're hosting from that group, and just we go on some good tangents. So I hope you enjoyed being with us.
I did. This was long overdue. So thank you so much for having me. I
Yeah.
loved it so much.
Where can our listeners find you?
So I am on Instagram. I am at that wife fit mom, and also on TikTok at the same name. I'm on Facebook, but my podcast is on all the platforms: Apple, Spotify. It's just if you search "Don't Call Me Skinny," you can find it there. So,
Yeah, and we'll put everything in the show notes so you
Yep.
guys can be lazy and just click away.
smart.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we'll probably message you after.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for listening or watching to Kinda Hot, Kinda Healthy. Please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us so we can reach more women just like you. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere where you can stream podcasts. If you have a burning question about life, friendships, health, and 1 or 2 cents, email us at kindahotpod@gmail.com. That's KINDAHOTPOD@gmail.com. Bye.
Bye.